On today's show, why this week is setting up to be a huge opportunity for the Ottawa Senators.
And in a tight Eastern Conference playoff race, what is the Ottawa Senators' biggest need to improve?
This is Brady Kachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller, and today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. We just use Gametime to get boots on the ground next Monday when the Sens visit the Winnipeg Jets. Today is Monday, December 8th in Pilsy. I know the Sens have lost 4 of their last 5 games, all of them in regulation, but I'm telling you, this week, it's a get-right week for the Sens.
Yeah, especially with 2 Eastern Conference opponents, and 2 of these opponents in the New Jersey Devils tomorrow at home, the final of the 3-game homestand at the CTC, and then off to Ohio up against the Columbus Blue Jackets. You need to find ways to beat these teams. And normally, Ross, I would just say you got to find ways to get points. No. After 2 regulation losses, and you look at where the Ottawa Senators are in the Eastern Conference standings, careful, your fingers and thumbs might hurt from scrolling all the way down to second last here. Now, obviously, it's tight, so just 3 points puts them back tied in a position with the Montreal Canadiens in third in the Atlantic Division. However, it wasn't that long ago where they were in that spot, and just 2 regulation losses has slid them all the way down.
So those teams that you mentioned, they're both struggling mightily. The New Jersey Devils have lost 5 straight games. They've been shut out twice in their last 3 games. They are looking for answers. They've only won 3 of their last 11. Now, how about the Columbus Blue Jackets? Well, they have only won 3 of their last 10 games, and they're coming off being shut out. Although offense hasn't been the problem with Columbus, they actually scored 17 goals in their last 3 games before that. So there's different challenges presented with these 2 teams. The Devils are going to be extremely hungry, ornery, not excited after a 4-1 loss against the Bruins. So they're not feeling good about themselves. The biggest stories there is how can we get Quinn Hughes now from the Vancouver Canucks rather than what's happening on the ice. So for Ottawa, it's about doing parts of what they did in each of the last 2 games, right? I loved their 5-on-5 game against the St. Louis Blues. It was the 1-for-7 power play that killed them. But then against the Rangers, the power play scores twice. They don't get anything at even strength. One thing I will not stand for is any talk about getting goalied tomorrow night against the Devils. That is not an option. Have to find a way to finish around the net and on the power play.
Especially when you're coming off getting goalied by the St. Louis Blues backup goalie, Joel Hofer. Like, oh, man, that is tough to watch. 2 regulation losses up against the St. Louis Blues, and that finishes their head-to-head matchups for the season. You needed to find a way to get 3 points of the possible 4, in my opinion, and you get 0.
Does it make you feel at all just a little bit better that St. Louis then on the second half of their back-to-back went into the Bell Center and beat the Habs in regulation?
Tiny bit, like the smallest of fractions. Yeah, that didn't really, it barely even cracked a smile on my face because the Canadiens are third in the Atlantic Division, and they're finding ways to take it past regulation in most games, Ross, and win those games. Like the Montreal is sitting on 8 regulation wins.
Yeah.
That's it.
Tied with Buffalo.
Yeah, and they have themselves in a 3rd spot in their division. Like, the Ottawa Senators need to find ways to do that as well. And it sucks. It's a cheap way to keep your place in the standings, but desperate times call for desperate measures.
I think my biggest concern right now, just other than the power play, which we feel like we've been harping on most of the season, somehow this team is still 11th in power play. Those 7 goals in 2 games that they got against Boston and Washington, pulling a lot of weight for the Sens power play this season. But you look at the home record, that's where I've got the biggest issue. 6-5-2. Bills, you're losing more leaving the CTC than you're winning this year. And that's not going to cut it. Like after such a positive sign on the road trip, where again, they're below 500 in real life in terms of wins and losses, but those 2 loser points put them above NHL 500 on the road. But at home, same deal, but you can't be that close to 500 at home. You got to find a way to at least get a win on this 3-game homestand. And what better way to start that than playing with a lead for the first time? We know Ottawa plays a low event style, and it suits playing it from ahead a lot better than when they're chasing the game.
Well, especially when Travis Green decides that, hey, I don't trust a lot of this lineup when we're trailing, so I'm just going to put Jake Sanderson out there for 31 plus minutes like he did up against the Blues, or Tim Stützle is going to play 24, 25 minutes. Like, it's not a sustainable way to be playing hockey, and especially when it's not working. Like, if it was getting to a point where they're trailing late and then those 2 guys push it over the edge and they find ways to either win the game late or get it to overtime, then I can see it happening. But these guys are just burning themselves out for no gain, unfortunately. And I'm sure if we looked back throughout the season, the Sens have been involved in a lot of close 1-goal games, and they've been able earlier in November to tie those, get them to regulation, get loser points, get shootout wins, overtime wins, etc. So it has worked. But recently, it's not been a recipe for success. And I know these guys are young, but it's going to wear on them. And you can see the frustration, and I don't want to say exhaustion on Timmy, but he looks gassed and out of answers out there at times.
I'm going to search this up, and I know the overall numbers, but I really want to dive into this because Tim Stützle has played a ton, as you alluded to recently. And if you do his splits when he plays more than 20 minutes in a game and under 20 minutes in a game, just from a quick look at his game log, he is so much more productive when he's in that 18 to 1930 range. Now, there are some score effects in terms of the team wins and losses, but in terms of individual performance, goals and assists, it's kind of backwards when you think about it. You play more, you have more opportunity to score. But in Tim Stützle's case, it seems to really hold him back from producing a ton of offense. So wait for those numbers at Sens Central on Twitter. Maybe we'll send it out first to the Everydayer Club, which we'll get to later on in the show. Exciting times at the Locked On Podcast Network right now. So make sure to check that out. It's in the description below. We'll explain it at the end of the show. But yeah, Tim Stützle, certainly a storyline right now because the correlation with his struggles here and Brady Tkachuk returning, whether it was on the same line or not, because we've seen both, it is concerning right now. Just 1 assist in the last 5 games. And would you look at that? The Sens are 1-0 in those 5 games when he gets a point. And they're 0-4 when Tim Stützle is held off the score sheet.
Well, and our greatest fears, or at least mine, Ross, is coming to light. Tim Stützle is not playing that same style of game when Brady was out, now that Brady's here, and especially they're on the same line. We saw in the dire moments of the third, trying to catch up to the St. Louis Blues, Tim Stützle had a glorious chance in front. All he had to do was get a backhand over Hofer's pad, and instead of even attempting to shoot on a grade A high danger scoring opportunity, he does a spinorama pass through the slot trying to get it back to Brady on the other side, which just is not a high percentage play. Like, you have to get a miraculous puck track that goes through sticks and skates, and Brady has to be ready for that, which none of that happens, and it ends up being a giveaway. Instead of, I would have preferred him to just backhand that into Hofer's pad and keep the play going. He doesn't even need to score there. He just needs to have a shot attempt, and that doesn't happen. And I think, Ross, that's why we saw Bruce Garriock showed the lines from the Ottawa Senators skate on the weekend, and it showed Brady Tkachuk was no longer with Tim Stützle on the line.
Yeah, and Tim Stützle left that skate abruptly, but did come back. I did like, though, that Timmy had, except for that play, more of a shooter's mentality against St. Louis. He had 7 shot attempts, 4 on goal. Previous to that, though, his 4 games, 2 or less shots in all of them, and 4 or less shot attempts. So we need Timmy to get back to basics, get back to shooting the puck. His face-off numbers have taken a huge dip after being so impressive for a majority of the season. He's clicking at 32%. He's only won 14 of his last 43 face-offs. So need Timmy to start getting the puck back to his defenseman who can start skating. But look, we got through this first segment talking about some deficiencies with the team without mentioning injuries. Obviously, every team's going through it, but when you're without Shane Pinto, so important up front, and Thomas Chabot on the back end, they're going to need depth players to step up in their absence and really carry it on. One positive note I'll say is that I didn't find Ridley Gregg looked out of place filling in on that line with Amadio and Giroux. Obviously, it's a bit of a cushy position to play with how smart and responsible those two are on the wings, but to go in and have the pressure of, look, Pinto is leading the team in goals, still is, and I thought he had a decent game there. Probably the game I noticed him positively the most, at least since he's been back, but maybe most of the season. So hopefully Ridley Gregg can keep that up because he could be a big X factor this week for the team.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought he played decent, but like you said, pretty much anyone should be able to at least be average when you're on that line with Michael Amadio and Claude Giroux, two of the three players on one of the top analytical lines in the entire league. So that should help him.
Yeah, that line played the most together at 5-on-5, over 8 minutes, and good numbers in their favor too.
I wouldn't mind, and we can have a discussion about this, seeing Stephen Halliday elevated in the lineup, though, because I think to create offense, that's a guy that can do that. And when he's on the fourth line, no offense, with guys like Hodgson, McDermott, Cousin. I mean, I was going to exclude Cousins on that because Cousins can provide offense.
That's fair.
It's not exactly leaning towards the qualities of Stephen Halliday's game that make him a successful hockey player. And again, no offense to these guys. It's just the way it is. So I wouldn't mind seeing an elevated Stephen Halliday, even if that means bumping Ridley Gregg back down to that fourth line.
Well, you know that Tim Stützle understands Stephen Halliday is a disher, so maybe to get that shooting mentality full force for Tim Stützle, you do a couple shifts in game. We saw that late in the third period when he got a shift with Brady and Timmy late. So Halliday, to me, it's elevating him in moments in the game. I'm cool if he lines up on the fourth line, but find him little spots here and there, offensive zone change, get him out there when one guy comes to the bench and see if he can use that creativity that he thrives off of. And good to see him get an assist in last night or on Saturday's game as well. So yeah, Stephen Halliday, another bright spot in the Senators lineup. Despite losing, you look back on that game and they had so many chances, doubled up almost the Blues in shots on goal. So as frustrating as it is, and it was, there are still positives in terms of the underlying how the game went that gives you confidence that they can get back on track here this week. But looking ahead, we're seeing a lot of trade chatter. Maybe there's a few that happened before the Olympic break in February, the trade deadline soon after that. And the Senators, they don't have too many assets to use, obviously, without their first round pick. But that has us wondering, with limited assets available, where should Steve Staios be looking to add to his lineup? We'll have that discussion next. Wrap up with Sens Prospect Weekly Update and some exciting news with Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. Let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Gametime app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Gametime, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. Puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Pick a game, tap a section, and you've got your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for the fine print. You got seat view feature. You can literally see what the pitch is going to look like from your exact seat before you buy. Prices include fees up front, which I love. No last second surprises at checkout. Alerts for teams and matches make it easy to grab tickets the moment they drop instead of missing out. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets at every match, concert, or sporting event with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, game time.
Today's episode is also brought to you by the GLEBE Central Pub. We know it's going to be bumping for the World Cup at the GLEBE Central Pub with all the soccer hooligans in the city. But you hockey fans, it's a place for you too, not only to watch the game, but to get to the game. Because the GLEBE Central Pub, which is at 779 Bank Street, right in the heart of downtown Ottawa in the Glebe, you can get to the CTC for just $18, and that's round trip. The bus leaves before every Senators home game, an hour and 15 minutes before puck drop, and it will get you right back to the pub after the game. So leave the keys at home and go have a great night at the Glebe Central Pub. You can also head there every Saturday night for live music with no cover ever. And they've got different things every night of the week. There's never a dull moment at the GCP. You can start your week today, wing night all day, all night, trivia on Tuesdays, open mic night on Wednesdays, and Thursdays, they're all about cheap tacos. So whether it's hockey, soccer, live music, or just a night out with friends, make the Glebe Central Pub your home base at 779 Bank Street and get your Glebe Central Pub Sens Shuttle tickets at GlebeCentralPub.com because you know the vibes are free at the GCP. All right, Philzy, the Ottawa Senators are off today. They will be making their annual visit to Chio, one of the videos I look forward most to every year. The Sens social crew does such a great job of highlighting just the smiles, the joy that it's bringing to these young kids who are going through so much. And to see the players interact with them, they've got the Santa hats on, and just always really a meaningful day for the organization.
Yeah, definitely. And for the community. And it's great. There's so many young guys on the Ottawa Senators team. I feel like they can connect with the kids even better, and they enjoy doing that. So it's something that during the holiday spirit, these are the kinds of things you want to see.
We need to see Claude Giroux in a St. Nick suit, no?
Yeah, I mean,
with the big beard, he'd be the guy. If you were casting the Ottawa Senators to play Santa Claus, it'd have to be him, no?
Yeah, he might take offense to that, but yes, he is the grizzled vet with a beard to go. Although the red beard, kind of a giveaway versus the snowy white beard Santa has.
And personality-wise, jolly old St. G, right?
Yeah,
everyone always says how light.
True, so jolly.
Yeah. Hey, he's dialed in, and we need to see more from Claude Giroux this season. Though I would say, speaking of G, like offensively, he's produced everything and more that we could have hoped at this point in his career. I've been really happy with his game.
Yeah, and when you have a face-off percentage of 69%, that's pretty good as well. This is what the team expected of Claude Giroux at this stage in his career, in my opinion, and he's living up to it. So I got no issues with Claude Giroux. The guy's jersey I got still hanging up in my studio here.
Hell yeah. 210 points in 273 games with the Ottawa Senators. The best free agent signing in franchise history. Number one. And honestly, Artem Zub might be pretty close behind it. Not that Ottawa was ever a free agent hub going back, but I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Top free agent signings in Sens history. We did a
we did a Ring of
Honor of it. And I'm pretty sure Korpisalo made the list that point in time. So
yeah, Martian had Corpy. Yeah.
Did you happen to see my tweet over the weekend? I don't know why I woke up and sent this, but I saw it and I was like, I just couldn't believe it. Yeah. And Ullmark's played 20 some more games than Matt Murray with the Senators. They have identical save percentages.
Yeah.
Identical. But look, what's the Sens' biggest need? I teed it up before the break, but if Ottawa is just going to use their assets on one thing, they're not going thrift shopping, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. They want one purchase that will make a difference. Are you looking up front? Are you trying to get that top six score? Are you looking on the back end or even potentially in goal?
Ross, you're either going to love this or hate this, and I did not reveal this in our pre-game meeting, but I've drawn a line in the sand about trading and acquiring players. and maybe you thought, oh, I'm going to force Pilsy to tiptoe over that line of sand. I'm not moving. 10 toes down. We are not in a position where we can be trading to acquire top impact players. So I've got a little spin zone that I'm going to do here, but I'll allow you to preach your case about the top need and what type of player you think the Ottawa Senators need to acquire. Because I still believe where this team is, both in the standings, in their competitive window, and with the values they hold in their wallet, trading for an asset might not be the appropriate move.
I think you look at it line by line. Are you comfortable down the stretch if your top line or top six is Tim Stützle, Brady Tkachuk, Fabian Zetterlund, Dylan Cousins, David Perron, and Drake Batherson? Like, are you comfortable with that? And you can sub in Ridley Gregg for David Perron if you want, because we're assuming fully healthy where Pinto's in the mix here too.
If the word you're using is comfortable, I'll say yes.
Okay.
I am comfortable with it.
Because I just see a vision. Now, there is the asterisk that you might have to move someone off your roster to make the money work if you are acquiring a top six left winger.
It's almost a guarantee you are going to have to do that.
Yeah, you would? Okay. Because the Ottawa does have a little bit of cap flexibility to play with.
But you're not squeezing a top impact player in under that number.
On an expiring deal, though, right? Like it says deadline space is $10.2 million. I know it's kind of strange how it works, but in the playoffs now they've changed the rules so that LTIR and all that, it doesn't impact it. But I think they could add a half decent player. Even they've got $3.3 million
their number?
right now.
I'm not a cap guy, but I thought it was like $2.5 million or something.
Assuming the team does not make any roster moves between now and the trade deadline, this is the annual cap hit that the team can fit in on deadline day. If the team adds cap space between now and then, the space will decrease. I guess because a certain amount is paid before that point in time. That's how much is left on that season. Let us know in the comments about that too, because that is very curious.
I'm a simple man. My understanding is the cap space number, which our friends at Cap Wages have at $2.269 million.
Yes, that's the projected cap space right now. So we'll see what the Senators have available to them. But I do think that top six left wing is an extremely big need, and it would then set up Ottawa with enough depth to withstand these injuries a little bit better, so that Travis Green isn't playing one of his forwards or more under 4 minutes a game.
Yeah, I would agree with you. That is my top need as well, a scoring winger to be added to this team. Even though when you start looking at it, Ross, like the goaltending and the penalty killing, I believe the save percentage and penalty kill percentage are both 31st in the league. Like those are obviously your biggest glaring weaknesses, but you're not going to acquire another goalie. I think that's just silly. The Levy and Linus need to find some stability, which I believe they've certainly have gotten better than the start of the year. I think that's fair to say. And the penalty killing needs to figure it out, but you're not going to go acquire like a defensive specialist that's going to find a way in the lineup here, in my opinion. So that's going to have to be figured out internally as well. Should I reveal my my idea, or should we save it for the break?
Yeah, I want to hear your idea next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. You can feel the momentum. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money line adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
All right, Pilsy, back to our conversation in just a moment, but I've got to please help the Sens parlay that I want to get to tonight because there are just a few games, 5 games, Pilsy, in the National Hockey League tonight, and we've got an All-Atlantic Division matchup where it feels easy. It's Tampa Bay Lightning in regulation tonight over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Then we're going to look at Buffalo to lose. Remember, Ottawa's best draft capital is that Buffalo second-round pick. They've got the Calgary Flames. A little toilet bowl action tonight. And Calgary's the home team, so we're going Calgary on the money line there. And then Vancouver at home to Detroit. They're going to block out the noise. They're going to say, hey, enough of talking Detroit, possible destination for Quinn Hughes. Let's go get a win on home ice. So I've got Vancouver money line and that 3-game parlay. Put in $10. You'll make 83. So I like that number there. The 3 games we're looking at, Tampa in regulation, Vancouver money line, Flames money line, 10 to win 83.
I like it, Ross. Let's go. Please help the Sens. We're begging you. Please help the Sens.
So that's my idea. What's yours?
Someone that can help the Sens, Ross, is someone who's already been helping out the Senators, but the Belleville Senators. Look, we talked about it. This team's got to find ways to score more goals. How about getting a guy that's second in the American Hockey League in goals with 15? How about bringing in a guy? You talked about that power play, Ross. You're frustrated with how that's going. How about bringing up a guy that's first in the American Hockey League in power play goals with 9? I'm talking about Arthur Kaliev. Now, look, on the postcast, we said, or I think it was a previous episode, we talked about, sure, you can bring up Kaliev, but then you're going to have to risk sending him down through waivers at some point, and with how good he's been, there is a realistic chance that he gets claimed. So I wasn't comfortable talking about trading assets, and plus I just don't think the Ottawa Senators have valuable enough assets to acquire an impact guy. So at this point, Ross, I will say I'm willing to risk losing the asset of Kaliev to gain his goal scoring in the NHL. I think at this point you have to look at that because the Ottawa Senators' top goal scorer in Shane Pinto is out for at least 2 weeks, could be more. You have to find a way to get goal scoring in this lineup. Now, does he solve the top 6 goal scoring? Absolutely not. You cannot have Kaliev playing in the top 6. I'm fully aware of that. Is he going to be a savior for this team? No. But does he bring an element to this team's bottom 6 that they need desperately more than a McDermott? Although McDermott wins games, let's not lose sight of that. A Hayden Hodgson, a Lexell? Yes, he does. Or even a Nick Cousins. So I think it's time they need to bring up Arthur Kaliev and have him playing. I know fourth line is not going to be majorly impactful, but get him on that second power play unit as a guy that will do nothing except shoot the puck. Ross, you got to see him for yourself up against the Manitoba Moose.
His stick doesn't touch the ice on the power play.
And God bless him for that. You're not going to have a question. Oh, Kaliev on the far side with a wide open net. Is he going to try to do a spinorama pass or a drop pass to set someone else up? No, this guy's going to shoot the puck no matter what. And that's what the Ottawa Senators need right now. I think inserting him into your second power play unit could spark some life because Shane Pinto not on either unit now, obviously. And I just think that the Ottawa Senators have to take a risk like this. Now, losing Kaliev, let's not also pretend that that's a massive gamble. And if you lose him, the sky is falling and you're in trouble. But this is depth that a team needs in the Ottawa Senators. And with the injuries they have, it would be unfortunate to lose him. But you can have him up here for a couple weeks and really give this a good attempt. So I think it's time to bring Arthur Kaliev up and at least give this a try.
In terms of the flexibility, you can just keep him up if he's good enough. And if he comes and doesn't play well, then the chances of him getting claimed are that much less. He does have a pretty high AHL salary. So unless a team is confident that they're going to plug him in the rest of the year at the NHL level, I think it's not as much of a risk as maybe it sounds, because if he does well, he can just stay up throughout the season. Ottawa has 13 forwards when healthy, and that's including Curtis McDermott, who I don't think anyone would worry about on waivers with extra year on his deal.
And McDermott has this weird clause, Ross, where he actually makes more real money if he gets sent down to the minors.
That's awesome.
I've never seen that before. Maybe that's something his agent put in to try to keep him on an NHL deal there. But I believe Brandon Piller, not a cap guy, but I believe I saw that when they acquired him. So
exact same.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
at least more than typical.
1.25 million.
I think isn't his NHL salary 1.15 million?
That's his annual average because it's a 2-year deal, or it was a 3-year deal. He got.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Anyways, the point remains that I think at the very least, Ross, before Steve Stais starts being like, we got to trade our only valuable assets to bring a different guy in that's on an expiring deal to try to boost this team, at least give this a try first. I think that's a sensible thing to do.
And I think the back end is a whole other conversation maybe we'll have later this week, but it's so clear without Thomas Chabot how bad this team is lacking depth on the back end, because you can't bring up, like, they've got, I think, a lot of good plug and play third pair, kind of your Clevin, Matt and Palo. Hate to throw Jensen in this mix, but kind of that type of role right
Gilbert,
now.
they just acquired.
They don't have another offensive puck mover beyond Jordan Spence on this really roster.
They have Yakimchuk, but we've gone over that in length. That it is not time to bring Carter Yakimchuk up. That I agree with you.
But it does open a conversation. I don't think this guy's ready to, but as we move on to our Sens Prospect Weekly Update, Jorian Donovan, who really stood out to me when he played Manitoba a couple weeks ago, 2 games, but his season has been such an improvement offensively. And we see that with young defensemen, mid-round pick too in 2022. What was he, a 5th-round pick? And everyone was like, oh, Nepo call because his dad is a player development. It's like, no, they would have drafted him no matter the name. I think they did it behind the scenes where Sean Donovan's like, don't do it if it's for me, right? He doesn't want that. Doesn't seem like the type of guy either. But look at how he's developed offensively, already matching his total point output from last season. And he did it in 40 less games, Pilsy. So Jorian Donovan is not going to be a flashy NHL defenseman, I don't think, but he is really kind of handling the AHL now in his second full season. So just wanted to put that out there that he's a guy that's been impressive so far and had a goal in a win for the Belleville Sens on Saturday against Laval.
Yep, that's an option. And that's the thing, Ross. I think at this point, the Ottawa Senators need to at least look internally at different things they can try to do before selling the farm, so to speak, to bring in extra guys externally.
Yes. Again, I'm not advocating that he come up, but it is a good sign to see that the Senators are developing more than just Carter Yakimchuk in the American Hockey League. Carter Yakimchuk, by the way, did return after being an absence earlier in the week. I think for that Wednesday game, he was back for both on the weekend. Struggled on Friday, was a -3, and then even on Saturday had 2 shots on goal in each game. So Yak now has 16 points in 24 games, -16. Again, plus minus not everything, but that checks out with the high risk, high reward style that he plays. Pilsy, speaking of first round picks for the Ottawa Senators, Logan Hensler and the Wisconsin Badgers. It started as a nice story, and now they are a legit contender, I would say, to win the NCAA championship. They just went into Notre Dame and smacked the Fighting Irish in the face. 7-4 on Friday, 9-2 the final score on Saturday. Logan Hensler, a +6 on the weekend, had an assist in the 9-2 win where they got everybody involved. Hensler played 11 and a half minutes. It was such a blowout. They said, hey, let's let those 4th line guys play. Blake Montgomery scored as well. And I don't know if it's the Wisconsin Sens touch or what. Got to give Mike Hastings, their head coach, credit, but Wisconsin is playing for keeps this season.
Yeah, it's been really impressive to see how they've done, especially Ross, like before the draft, when we were kind of looking into Wisconsin, especially once we heard Blake Montgomery was going there, we had heard mixed reviews about them as a hockey program overall. And, you know, some people we talked to were like, yeah, they're not really in the upper echelon with some of the major schools like the Denvers, the Nodaks, things like that. And then other people we talked to were like, don't count them out just yet. They're building something there, and you can really see that everything's working out for them this year.
Yeah, and Bruno Ejan was a healthy scratch for the Saturday game, but guess who wasn't, Pilsy? 7th round pick, Tyson Dick, who we'd kind of written off a little bit. Only 3 goals in 37 games last year. Pilsy, he was in and out of the lineup, But the last 2 weekends that they've played, he's played, and he has 3 multi-point games. He's got 6 points in his last 4 games now. So, hey, they're getting contributions from all over. And Blake Montgomery on a 4-game point streak as well. He's been incredible for them. So that's a real bright spot in the Sens prospect pool. What's going on in Wisconsin?
Yeah, and our guy, Ross, Todd Molesky, told us, Dick's not a everyday player for this team, but when he's been inserted into the lineup, he's worked hard to do what Mike Hastings has asked of him, and the team has success with him there. So happy for him as he's really figuring it out here.
Man, that game had to be such a lopsided early game. Blake Montgomery played under 9 minutes in the game. There were a couple big pims too, a couple fights. All right, but hey, look, for the Ottawa Senators, their prospect pool, that's a really strong pipeline for them. Another part of their pipeline, I love doing this interview this summer. Javon Moore, great kid. He is humming right now with Minnesota. Hey.
Yeah, he's looked really good with Minnesota. Just celebrated his birthday, too, on December 7th, so yesterday. So happy birthday to Javon Moore, and he had a weekend to celebrate a goal and 2 assists up against Ohio State. So he's got 10 points in his last 8 games also.
Yeah, very good. And have you done your MHL scouting yet for Dmitry Asayev? Because our guys, we had a couple people reach out and say, hey, you guys can watch this over on YouTube. It's available for you.
Hand up, I have not, but that's why we love our guys Sens Prospects at Sens Prospects on Twitter. And yeah, this highlight of him dancing through multiple defenders and doing a spinorama to fool the goalie to score here has been incredible. Asayev's got 12 goals and 20 points in 14 games in the VHL with let me give it a try here. Avto Yekaterinburg.
Ooh, nailed it. And hey, he's been on record. He had Pavel Datsu just as impressive as a skills coach there. So maybe he's picking up a thing or two. You see the skill. You see the skill with Dmitry Asayev. Won't see Russia at the World Juniors, but Hockey Canada unveiled their roster. They only brought 3 goalies to camp. So Luca Beckman was not included. My guess is had it been 5 goalies, maybe he would have been one of those guys. He also still is eligible next season. And he's probably like, oh man, I'm going to see so many pucks over the holidays now. He's like, hey, playing in front of this team, that would be something. We'll get to Hockey Canada in just a second. The numbers are too outrageous not to. And as citizens will know, we love the draft, and Team Canada is not overthinking it, it seems like, with their preliminary roster this year. But Luca Beckman will be playing his holidays against a team in front of him, Baie-Comeau, right? That they just can't keep the puck out of their own zone. I feel like they've let in 10 high danger chances since I started talking about it.
Yeah, tough bounce for him, but he just, Ross, he's simply not in the same stratosphere as the 3 goalies that Team Canada decided to take in: Jack Ivankovic, Carter George, and Joshua Ravensbergen.
Yeah, those are 3 really good goalies. First round pick in Ravensbergen, 2 second round picks. George is a pick from 2024, so he's the elder statesman of the group at 19 years old, and he also backstopped Canada last year. Disappointing team, though, it felt like, the decisions they made. And when in doubt, Hockey Canada calls up the London Knights and says, Dale, you ready? Dale Hunter, part of the group there that picked this team. And I'm forgetting his brother's name. That also helps. Mark, thank you. Mark Hunter, that helps run that. So that's going to be the brain trust of this Hockey Canada. And the team still needs to make a few cuts. But from their preliminary roster, Pilsy, this Hockey Canada roster at the World Juniors will feature, out of 27 players, 27 or 29? I need to get the number because 28. There's so few.
Split
28. Split the difference.
I was just kidding. I don't know if that's true.
Oh no, you didn't. Okay, well, I've got it. I'm looking at it right now. Shout out to Scott Wheeler, does great work on this kind of stuff over at the Athletic. 27 names on the list, and there could be a few more because the NHL players, not all have been released, although a couple have. Michael Misa second overall pick from this past draft. He's going to be there. And Harrison Brunicky is going to be there. He's been with the Pittsburgh Penguins. But out of 27 players, 20 are first-round picks in the NHL.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then some of the players that aren't drafted yet might go 1 and 2 in next year's draft. So.
Yes, and Keaton Verhoff, shout out North Dakota, and also Gavin McKenna, who was on the top line as a 16-year-old last season at the World Juniors. It really is crazy. This team is going to be completely stacked, and we deserve that after what we watched last season. Unfortunate that tournament was held in Ottawa. This year, it will be in Minnesota, where Logan Hensler, previously discussed, is going to be on Team USA. At least was on the preliminary roster. I see no reason why he won't get a chance to defend as a returning player for Team USA. So lots to look forward to over the holidays. Sens have a ton of action between now and then, and we will be boots on the ground 1 week from today when the Senators take on the Jets here in Winnipeg. But a big week ahead. Senators against the New Jersey Devils tomorrow night in Ottawa, and then at Columbus on Thursday, at Minnesota on Saturday afternoon, before wrapping up that 3-game home road trip in Winnipeg. Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Yeah, we got some big news to announce for the Locked On Senators podcast and the Locked On Podcast Network as a whole. And it comes at a good time, Ross, when you see, and we love these, by the way, all the Spotify Wrapped, all the YouTube Wraps. It really means a lot to us seeing that, hey, the grinding and the effort we put in every day, people actually tend to enjoy it. And there's some people that love it, and they've listened to every single minute that we've produced and every single video on YouTube. So we appreciate that. And if you're one of those people that just can't seem to get enough of the Locked On Senators podcast, well, we've got good news for you, Ross, as we're adding some more content to our table here.
Yeah, I think it's actually going to be a really cool initiative. You already live your team every day, so now you can take it up a level. You can go ad-free if you want to. So we'll post a link below. It's a Supercast link. And basically what you'll be able to do is join the Everydayer Club, and you'll get the Locked On Senators podcast with no interruptions. You'll also get access to a members-only Discord and more, and that's all for just $5 US a month or $50 a year. It shows before you click what each tier gives. There's 2 tiers, and we've decided let's do this. We want to make this really special. So we're going to do the all-access tier. If you're a true LOSP diehard, an Everydayer all-access tier could be built for you. You get one-on-one, well, 2-on-1, because Pillsy and I will both be in the mix here. Texting access, one-on-one. We can shoot the breeze about the team, the game, and we'll be posting different things throughout the day, whether we read a great article we want to share with you, whether we're looking at just whatever goes on in our brain about the Ottawa Senators on a day, and some game day preview stuff. All of that will be texted right to your phone, and you'll be able to reply right away. We'll also have a few bonus episodes, all access, and you'll get a newsletter. You forget your earphones at home. Oh, what the boys talk about in Locked On Senators today. We'll send out what we discussed, basically our pre-show meeting right after. It'll be all wrapped in a bow for you. So we're fired up for this, not even mentioning yet the 15% discount to the Locked On merch store, the #1 sports podcast network. So you can head to supercast.com and join the Everydayer program. You can unlock the all access. You can also find the link in the show notes. Pillsy, I also want to be clear that nothing changes with Locked On Senators. This is not us disappearing from YouTube. Wherever you get your podcast, you will get the postcast immediately after every game on YouTube. The audio will still be posted everywhere. You will not notice a difference, but if you want to kick it up and you want bonus on top of that, it's really cool too. The ad-free, it's like, oh, where do I do it? Is it different? Do I have to go outside of my comfort zone? No, you can add it once you're subscribed right to your Apple podcast. You can add it to your Spotify. Like, it's so easy. So don't let that stop you. It'll really appreciate it. It's great support for us. We always hear how people can support us more. This is going to be awesome, and we're really excited to get started on this initiative.
Yeah, it's a big deal for us. We're really kind of pushing all our chips in and providing more content here. And I mentioned the Spotify Wrapped, how much we love that. Well, if we made your Spotify Wrap, prove it on social media, and you'll get a free month of our new Everydayer Club. All you got to do, it's simple. Just tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any social media platform, and you're going to get a code, and you can be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club and get the Locked On Senators podcast ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. So, and the Discord channel is super cool too, Ross, because remember the one postcast both of us weren't able to make, and we had people being like, look, we get you guys aren't able to do this today because we both were best men in a wedding that day.
Same day. Wild.
Pretty good excuse in my opinion. But people were like, okay, if there's going to be no postcast, we still want to have the chat open because it's so awesome to chat with different Sens fans about the game. Well, this is a
24/7,
365 chat where everyone involved can be getting in the mix. We'll bring up topics to throw in there. You guys can have your say. We'll chime in with our say as well. And it's an ongoing discussion for Sens fans. So
the best.
So many cool different features. And for those out there that are like, oh, I love the pod, how can I support you guys more? This is one of those ways you can support us more while also getting bonus exclusive content.
Yeah, really cool. The first one we're going to do here is building our perfect Ottawa Senators. So I'm fired up to do that, and we'll have all sorts of little Easter eggs hidden throughout. But you can also follow the show wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe and leave a 5-star review. We'll be back tomorrow with a Senators game day preview up against the New Jersey Devils. For today, we say goodbye. Thank you so much for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. And this has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.